Tired of your old kitchen or bathroom? Upgrade to the home of your dreams with Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction. CMK Construction is Tampa's award-winning kitchen and bath leader for over 20 years. Right now, save $3,000 on a new kitchen and $2,000 on a new bathroom. And take advantage of our no money down and no interest financing until 2026. Imagine, design, build. Tired of your old
from the
kitchen
Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A. This is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by CMK Construction, crafting Tampa's most exquisite bathrooms and kitchens.
How you doing, everybody? Oh, prompter's not switched. Hey, it's a Tuesday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live. And we got today's thank you. See, ask and ye shall receive. In the control room, I think Derek must be in there. See, you guys know how this stuff works, but in television, so when Wendy and the anchors, they're reading the words up in the prompter, but when weather's here, we just make it up as we go along, which just scares management to no end, I'm telling you. But regardless, so they flip a switch, and instead of words being up there, we see ourselves. And when I say we, I'm not speaking of me in the third person sense. Allie is here as well. So Allie is training. See, here's the thing. Tomorrow I asked Allie if she would fill in for me. Tomorrow is the rain date, the makeup for my daughter singing the national anthem, the Threshers game, and me throwing out the first pitch. Now, originally, it was supposed to be a 6:20 start, and we would have time to do our thing, and I'd make it back here for DPL. But apparently, the game is a doubleheader tomorrow. So not knowing for sure, is there a problem, Jason? No. See, and here's something else, a little background. Whenever engineers walk in the middle of DPL, I'm convinced something's wrong, and it's usually on me. So he walks in, I'm like, oh, geez, what'd I do wrong? But see, now how glorious is that? He heard me say, hey, there's something up with prompter, it didn't switch, and he came out here to check. Now, of course, it took him 16 minutes to do so, but he still got out here. So Jason's like sticking his head out. Anyway, how y'all doing? Hopefully you had a good weekend. So I was gonna wear my FSU color hoodie in honor of the Noles victory over Alabama, but I figured there might be some Alabama people here who might not be happy about that. Doesn't matter because we're a Florida State, Florida school, so we will support the Noles. My Gator hoodie, Gators beat Long Island easily, I believe. I did not see if they covered. We talked about that on Friday. My Penn State and Nittany Lions were victorious. And how did you guys do?
NC State.
NC State?
We won.
NC State won too. So see, it was a glorious day for most parties involved except for Alabama. Roll Tide did not do well. I digress. Anyway, as I was saying, I probably won't make it back in time for 7:30 tomorrow. So Allie will be here to take over DPL. So she will be doing DPL tomorrow. So it will be ABL. As we had a JAL with Jason here on yesterday. Yeah, Jason was here yesterday. So all these initials, but at the end of the day, you're still getting the same weather coverage that you have known and expected for all the years. So if you're watching on TV, if you're watching on Spectrum, channel 17, or watching on Verizon, channel 23, my suggestion, or if you're watching on Facebook, my suggestion is, or on Instagram. You know what? I didn't turn on Instagram. Let me turn on Instagram right now. Okay, now Instagram's now on too. And so Allie's in here thinking, oh boy, I gotta hit these buttons at a certain time. I'm like, nah, you know, we'll just hit it. We'll hit them when we hit them, and you know, they'll all work out. We got somebody in Alaska right here. Juneau, Alaska's in the house. But anyway, so like I said, we got all these folks here. We got a lot to talk about. And we're going to set the record straight on some things as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the models are saying and what they are not saying. Jules just said, hey, Allie, how you doing? We got Lonnie from Polk County. Anna Maria, the first game is at 4 o'clock is what she just said. So again, we're just not sure what time that first pitch and what time Ryan will be singing the national anthem. So I may not make it back from 7:30. All right, so lots and lots of folks here as always. We've got a lot to talk about. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with a look at, let's look at the models, shall we? Let's go ahead and look at some of the models. All right, it was great meeting you as well, Kathy. Nice to see you. Kathy was there at Gulfport. And by the way, I would like to give major props to Allie, because Allie, we have this little spinny thing where we're giving prizes away. Man, you were working your butt off on that. You were there for hours on end, just spinning and giving away free prizes. And all the folks that came out to visit us in Gulfport for Gecko Fest, thank you, because it was a lot of fun, huh?
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. So, okay. Tony, how you doing? Good to see you. So, all right, let's go ahead and I'll take these full. All right, and take these graphics full because you need to see this. All right, we're going to start right off the bat. We are going to start with what September traditionally brings us in the tropics. All right, so what we're looking at here is, I bring this up because we say it all the time. Look at the most common track of tropical systems in the month of September over the last 100 years. What do you see? You see a storm that stays offshore of the United States, all right? And why would that be the case? I know you guys know. I know y'all know, because you guys are very weather efficient. You guys really keep your finger on the pulse of weather. And the reason is because we get fronts pretty regularly breaking down the ridge in the month of September, and even more so in October. So that doesn't say that all of the storms go this way, but the majority have, all right? And then you look ones that are get a little bit closer to Florida or the Carolinas, you know, or the East Coast, or even the northern Gulf Coast. It's still a solid number, 50 to 60, 50 to 70 actually. So it isn't anything to scoff at, but it is not as common of a track as you would have one offshore. Now I'm going to go one further. Look at October. This is something, in my opinion, we're going to be dealing with this upcoming year for a number of reasons, all right? And that is going to be the fact that when we have a La Nina, as we have now and as we will continue into October, inevitably the Caribbean opens up. And when the Caribbean opens up in October, it is very common to have development right there, and a front kicks it to the east, and you have something in Florida. It's just a thing. It was last year with Helene. It was last year with Milton, and it probably will be again in some way, shape, or form this year. But that does not mean it is happening this week. Now, here is what we are talking about here. This is the latest update from the CPC, the Climate Prediction Center, all right? Now, I want to talk a little bit about this, and then we're going to hit a break, and we're going to talk about what's going on elsewhere. So for the last 10 days, we've been talking about the models are hinting at one or two little ensemble members showing, hey, look at the Central Caribbean, look at Central America rather, maybe a little crossover, maybe going north. They've been showing it for about 10 days, all right? But there's been no significant support other than a couple of ensemble members that show that. There still isn't, all right? But look at the time frame on this. This is September 10th to the 16th. And all of a sudden, this is showing a number of things. And I think you could be looking at two things here. One, you could see a little bit of development in the southwestern Gulf. And by the way, the models are showing that, and I will show you that in a minute. But you also may be looking at just a stalled out front down here with possible development moving along that front northeastward, okay? And then, of course, you have another area out here. This would not be Gabrielle. This would be whatever's behind what will likely be Gabrielle. But more importantly, look at the following week. Look at September 17th to the 23rd. Then all of a sudden you have the same area, which this would be more of a La Nina driven pattern, but then you have a high development potential in areas that are a little dicier, because this is not necessarily in a track that would curve, because if you get something into the Caribbean like this, the odds are a front is not going to be deep enough to pick this up, and it would likely continue to go west. That is what we do not want to see, for obvious reasons, right? But here's the bottom line. There was some buzz about development in the Caribbean. You know, 1 or 2 ensemble members are showing it. There is nothing over the next week to 10 days to give us any feeling whatsoever that there's any significant development potential down in the Caribbean or in Central America. After those 10 days, I think that's going to change. I do. But we're going to talk about Gabrielle to be. We're going to talk more about those chances. We'll look at the ensembles. We'll look at the operational. We'll look at everything else. That's coming up in 90 seconds as DPL continues. Okay, so Allie, we are now on a break, and there's the countdown clock right there. Piece of cake, and we have 2 more breaks. So how you guys doing? So who is that? We've got Central Virginia's in the house with Tracy. You've got 30th anniversary. 30th anniversary of what, Deb? Is that, did I miss something? Did I miss conversation about what it was anniversary? Now, Ron English is here. Oh my gosh, Ron. So Ron actually said, was very complimentary to you, Allie. Ron said, Allie is a trooper. She was working this morning with the morning crew. Let me tell you about something about Ron. Okay, Ron is a guy who's been here from day one. Ron is the guy who shows up in his gator pajamas, literal pajamas, when they're in a big game. And Ron, I worked with Ron when I did mornings here for a long, long time. So major props to Ron for you being up, Ron, because you got to be up in the morning. Allie does not have to be here until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Allie can sleep in a little bit. So anyway, how much time we got left? What does that say?
17 seconds.
Hey, Ron, or as Wendy and I always say, Ron, because that's kind of the way everybody talks about Ron. Ron, you need to go to bed, all right? So we will, thanks for stopping by, though. Appreciate your, Bridget saying, Ron. See, Allie just gave me the countdown. We are back on television, on broadcast, on Dennis Phillips Live. Let's jump into Gabrielle, all right? So we talked briefly about, you know, buzz, chatter, talk about the Central Caribbean and whatnot. Look, it is not a thing. It is not a thing. I think it will be a thing starting in about 2 weeks and into October, but right now is not a thing. And the reason the Hurricane Center is not talking about it is because it's not a thing, all right? But what is a thing is what will be Gabrielle. So let's go ahead and take that full, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the models. Now, we also should be getting a new NHC update coming up any second, the 8 o'clock update. Let's see, is that the 8 o'clock one or not? That is the 8 o'clock one. And the no change. So we're still at 30 and 70% likelihood. Here, I'll go ahead and read this to you. A tropical wave located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands continues to produce disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Environmental conditions remain conducive for gradual development of this system during the next several days, and a depression is likely to form late this week or this weekend. The system is expected to move west to west-northwest at around 15 miles an hour into early next week. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. All right, we are going to look at the GFS. Here is, as you all know, we call it the GFS a cane, because it loves to do long-range forecasts and turn everything into hurricanes down. Looking at Joshua. Joshua said a word he wasn't supposed to, and Facebook immediately blotted it out. Joshua, the answer to your question is, even though no one else could say it, is no, this is not hitting Tampa. All right, now let's look at the GFS, all right? Or as I say, the GFS a cane. So look at the ensemble members. Pretty much all of them keep this out to sea. Now, you do see a couple of things right here. Why would that be? That's the stalled out front. Remember, we get a stalled out front that sits up here? Well, every now and again, you can get weak layer low pressure that develop along it. Sometimes it's in the eastern Gulf, sometimes it's in the western Atlantic. It will always go like this, zoop, and just go right out to sea, all right? What do you see in the Caribbean? Not much. One member, 1 out of 51, goes up into Texas. All right, I like those odds. Let's look at the euro. All right, here's the euro. There's day 4, day 5, day 6. There's a look at Gabrielle. Now, what are we looking at here? This is noteworthy. All right, you have some of these members going into the Caribbean. All right. You all know this already, but I will recap. Jolie in Puerto Rico, how you doing? So the weaker the system is, the more it will go west. The stronger the system is, the more it will be drawn northward toward the poles. So if you get a storm with these ensembles that strengthen it with the little red lines, not the one I'm posting, the other ones, these red lines are going to go up farther because it's a stronger storm and it's going to be drawn more to the north. The weaker lines, the blue lines, and the ones that don't show much of anything, keep it more to the south. It's basic meteorology there. So let's just keep looking and go a little bit further down, right? You still see the stronger storms, the overwhelming majority, but not all. But the overwhelming majority stay north of the islands. And by the way, these red ones are 960 to 979 millibars. I mean, that's Cat 2. So this turns into a Cat 2 hurricane. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Kind of sounds like Aaron in terms of rapid development once it goes into this area. But there are a few down a little bit more to the south. So my point is, when we are talking about these, and someone said something on Facebook, and I called him out on it, as I usually will. They're like, hey, it's too early to say that you know it's going to go west. I'm like, dude, I didn't say I know it's going to go west. I think it's going, or rather curve. I said, dude, I think it's going to curve. I didn't say I know it's going to curve because my job is to forecast the future. That is what we do. We forecast the future. Sometimes we do it pretty well, sometimes we don't. But none of us are going to sit here and say, oh, it's absolutely going to go this way, or it's absolutely going to go that way 10 or 11 or 12 days out. That's ludicrous. All right, you would never do that because you're going to be wrong more often than not. How many times have I slammed the GFS for being wrong 97.3% of the time when it's out past 10 days on a developing tropical cyclone? It's a given, right? But when you look at, and in a sense, you're kind of playing the odds when you're talking about this. When right now the European overwhelmingly shows a track that stays north of the islands as a weaker system, well, it's actually stronger when it goes north. And look at them go north. Look at them. Zoop. And why does it do that? Well, a number of reasons. One, because it gets stronger and it's going to be drawn north. And two, because we have another front that's eventually going to break down that ridge and create an opening, just like it did with Aaron. So someone asked me, is Bermuda out of the woods with this? No, Bermuda is not out of the woods. Matter of fact, this could very well have a track pretty darn close to Bermuda. But look at the ones that even are down south. They still go more to the north. And why? Because look at that. They get stronger. This is sciencey time, folks. All right, so look at the red line. That means they're getting stronger. What happens to tropical systems when they turn stronger? They go north. But in this case, it would go north over the islands. So there are a few runs of this ensemble that does keep this weak short term, right down here. Once it hits the jet fuel of the Caribbean, that very warm water, it strengthens quickly and starts to pull north. But it pulls north as a much stronger storm. So my point is the threat to the U.S. at this point is still on the low side. It's not zero, but you cannot rule out possibility to impacts to the islands because if it does stay weak for a period of time before getting stronger in what I call that jet fuel down here, you could be looking at an issue for the islands. So we cannot yet say the islands are okay from this. All right, and let's look at the Euro AI. Interestingly, the Euro AI doesn't do a lot with this. You don't see a lot of strength there. But what do you see? A path similar to what Aaron did, a weaker storm. Only a couple of these are going red. Most of them are keeping this rather weak, and the more weak it is, the more west it will go. So when you see the Euro AI showing some potential action out here, it's because it is a much weaker system. What do you see out here in the Caribbean that was getting all the buzz? Nothing. Bupkis. You see it in the Pacific, which is now, but I will tell you, even though the Euro AI is saying that, it's probably just as likely it could be here or here, which is why when we're looking at this map, look at what you have. You have the potential in all of this area, not just in one spot more to another. And it's the same thing in the next one as well. All right, so there you go. So we have covered what the ensembles show, which should be, I don't know, it should make you feel better if you're looking at this. And a lot of folks are dealing with PTSD after these last year's storms. We totally are, right? So looking at the ensembles right now, 12 days out, 13 days out, shows a very high probability of a curve. That does not mean it's set in stone, but right now it's looking good. But let's look at the operational runs and what's behind it coming up as DPL continues. Is that only my second break? Holy cow, I am so heavy. Yikes. Unbelievable. Yeah, so this is, I should have been in a break at like 46. So I'm going to probably talk for 2 minutes and then take my last break. Okay. So now, and I will tell you that also people will tell me break. Let's see if anybody was yelling break. Look. Break. Yeah. So yeah, they know me. They know me. Yeah, look, break 2. Cassie said break 2. Commercial break reminder from Mary. Yeah, so second break, Mary Ellen, and that was like 7 minutes ago. So I don't know. I'm in deep trouble. All right. But that's
it. 51. I'll count down from 5.
Okay, sweet. Thank you. So the guy, very nice to see you too, Suzanne. Really, all these break comments now. Jules is right. Shocking. We chatty. I get this way. You know, I should start banning myself on that kind of thing because it's bad. Because literally, we're gonna have 2 minutes. I gotta hit one more break, but we'll show operational next. So we'll do that, and that'll be a quick one. Anyway, do you guys have a good Labor Day weekend? So I did not win Powerball, but I'm okay with it because means I'll just win tomorrow. And oh, by the way, I don't know about you. I think you probably would do the same thing. If I won Powerball, I would not retire. I would keep working because I love what I do, and I'd be bored. I mean, but I don't know. If you have $1.3 billion, you could go anywhere and do anything, so maybe I would retire. I don't know. What do you think?
It would be tough. I used to say that I would still work. I think I would work in some capacity. Maybe not full-time,
in some capacity. How are we doing on time? Oh, I think we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Okay.
I can do my job.
So we've been talking about would you retire or not if you win Powerball. See, and believe it or not, and I know you don't believe me, I would not retire because I've wanted to do this all my life since I was 6 years old. I'm living a dream. I'm doing everything I've ever wanted to do. So why would I want to retire and be bored? I mean, I'd have a lot of money to go out and travel, but I don't know. I don't know. I love what I do. Anyway, we don't have a lot of time because I got too chatty. Shocker. Let's go ahead and show you the operational runs short term for what will likely be Gabrielle. And then we have another break because I got way too chatty. All right, here's a look at the Euro AI, okay? Now I want you to look at the area down here. There's what will likely become Gabrielle. And you know, it doesn't really do much with it. The Euro AI is not impressed at all. But what do you see? Remember we talked about these fronts? Look at that front right there, right? And then look along that front, and what do you see happen along that front? You see low pressure develop. See it? See that? I mean, it's like we actually know what we're talking about. I mean, look, so that's why you had the potential anytime this is stalled out front and the low develops and goes away. But what you don't see is any development in the Caribbean for the next 2 weeks. Thereafter, I think that changes. All right, let's look at the regular European, the deterministic European, the operational run. So this is more bullish. Look at Gabrielle, all right? This is what will be Gabrielle if it develops. And the operational run keeps it just north of the islands, very similar to Aaron, just not nearly as strong because Aaron blew up, went to Cat 5. And look at that front. See your front right there? By the way, you got weak low pressure Eastern Gulf, another low developing there. What's going to happen when it runs into that front? Zoop, right out to sea. So that's the Euro. Okay, what about the GFS? The GFS-icane. All right, so there's the GFS, pretty impressive. Turns into a nice little powerful hurricane. North of the islands. Where's that front? There's that front. What's going to happen when that front hits that front? Zoop. Right, oh man, what happened there? Went right out, everything turned blue, went right out to sea. But one thing the GFS is showing, and it is notorious for this, look at that southwestern Gulf, that Bay of Campeche. That, and look at that. Now, I will tell you one thing, and then we got to hit another break because I'm so heavy, all right? But one thing the GFS has a tendency to do, all right, it over forecasts tropical development. But what'll happen is if it believes it, it will keep showing it day by day by day by day. And it keeps happening. I will tell you, experience tells me, usually at some point it's going to be right. Oh my gosh, we have to go. We have 90 seconds. We'll be back in 90 seconds. We'll see you. We're literally going to have like a minute before the end of the show. All right, so third break. Mary Ellen's yelling at me. Third break. Sandy's yelling, break, break. You're running out of time. It's a true story. See, I would argue this show would be a little better with 2 breaks as opposed to 3. And instead of 3 90-second breaks, it would work better with, it would be like what? 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. I don't know, that's not my job. I'm just the guy who talks. But break, break, break. Everybody's screaming, break. You guys make me laugh. But I do appreciate you. Okay, so Scott says a cruise to Coco Cay September 7th. Okay, you're not going to have a washout, Scott, but you're going to get some waves, I think. What have we got on time? 40 seconds? All right. Okay. So what we'll do is we will tease people from TV to come to answer questions, and I will answer questions. Bahamas 8th to 12th. Well, you know, that really depends on how strong the storm gets. You know, if it's like an Aaron, you're going to get some surf. What we got?
20 seconds.
All right, 20 seconds. All right. Oh, your son loves the hoodie. Awesome. So the zip hoodie was your guys' idea. I didn't even have a zip hoodie. I'm like, oh, everybody would say, I want a zip hoodie. So we got one. 10 seconds. We're literally going to have a minute before the end of the show. It's really bad timing on my part. I need a producer. No, actually, I don't want a producer.
1.
We are back with a minute and 10 seconds left for the end of the show. My timing stinks. I apologize profusely. But we're going to continue on Facebook answering all your questions. So let's recap, shall we? New numbers, 8 o'clock, behind me, Gabrielle. No, not Gabrielle, Gabrielle 2B more than likely. No changes, 70% likelihood it turns into a tropical system in the next week. Most of the models, and when I'm talking most, I'm talking 98% of the models at this point curve it away from the U.S., but it could get close to the islands. So you are not out of the woods with Gabrielle to be with the islands. We'll have more tomorrow. Allie will be here tomorrow. She can talk about it. I'll be back on Thursday. At this point, not super concerned about it. The talk, the buzz, the chatter, whatever about the stuff in the Caribbean, it ain't happening, all right? But once we hit the middle of this month or even the 3rd week in September, at that point, I think we start to see a pattern change where the Caribbean opens back up. And through October, we are going to be dodging, not necessarily us, but the Gulf is going to be dodging tropical systems. So for those folks who say that the season is a bust, I wish you were right, but you're not. It's going to be very active in October. Thanks for watching. Check us out on Facebook. We're going to continue for a while. Have a great night. Okay, so we are out at 58. Okay, we still are on hot right now, and we're still on social. And that is about it. All right, so I will answer your questions. Cruise the 12th through the 15th. Well, here, let's go back and look. Let's go back and look at what some of the models are showing. So, I mean, look, here's the bottom line. And folks, I'm gonna call them like I see them here. Okay, we all know that the majority of people out there who went on a cruise in September, you're going on a cruise in September because it's a heck of a lot cheaper. Let's just call it like we see it. I'm with you. I get it. I have cruised in September because the rates are so much cheaper in the month of September. But you got to realize the reason it's cheaper is because there's hurricanes out there in September and October. But what'll happen is they're going to go around them, right? They're not going to sail into that hurricane. The only time a cruise is impacted is if the port itself is closed or if the port of call that you're going to closes, so they'll go someplace else. So it isn't like they're going to cancel your cruise, but they're going to give you another itinerary. But I will tell you, if this storm forms like the Euro is showing, or the GFS is showing rather, in about 9 days around Puerto Rico, you're going to have some waves. And you're going to have, even if it stays north, there's going to be some waves. So the Eastern Caribbean cruises from 6 to 10 days out, you're going to have some impacts. Bahamas, you're probably not. Western Caribbean, you're not. Cozumel, Cancun, all those, you're not gonna. Now, the third week in September, that's when things are gonna start to get a little more active in the Caribbean, in my opinion, and you're gonna start to see issues. Okay? Does anybody have any questions for Allie? Although she's not wearing a mic, so she could wear my mic. I should have given you a mic.
It's okay.
You're here now,
I can come close enough. I can speak pretty loud. Dennis, all these people asking you about cruises. I was listening to the radio, and one of these radio personalities in Tampa is having a cruise for that radio show. You should have a Dennis Phillips cruise where people could cruise with you.
They have asked for that. There have been travel agents that have asked for it. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I could, because they have offered, and for spring break next year, and also for the summer. But I don't think we're allowed to, because it's kind of like a business thing. I'm not really sure, but it would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you could do DPL on the cruise, have a live audience. That'd be fun.
Do you know that this was forever ago. This is back when you were kind of allowed to do this stuff, because this was maybe 25 years ago. There was a Disney cruise, and I did my weather from the Disney cruise for a whole week.
That's so fun.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And they had a little satellite. Now the technology is way better now than it was then, but we did it, and we had some little weather seminars and whatnot. So it's fun. Now my buddy Mike Boylan at Mike's Weather Page, he does his in spring break. He has like a Mike's Weather Page one, but Mike doesn't fall under the same restrictions that broadcast TV does. But I have thought about it. So anyway, so Todd is saying good luck tomorrow, Allie. She'll be great. She's got all this down. I mean, look, we've had Shay do it. In the last week, we've had Shay, we've had Jason, we'll have Allie. So everybody will have done DPL. And the one thing that they always say, and I run into this on a nightly basis, it goes so fast. I mean, it does, because before you know it, I'm at 50 and I've missed 2 breaks. Because all you're doing, if you're getting into any kind of discussions at all about the weather, your time is over. So, so Dina just said, hey, go NC State.
Go back.
So clearly, Dina must be an NC State grad. And Barry's saying, hey, Allie, how you doing? Wedding is the 13th. Will it affect you?
Ooh.
Camilla, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yeah, you're okay. The only way you wouldn't be is if this thing in the Caribbean, which doesn't exist, nor will it, were to magically appear, then maybe you would be. But I think you're fine. Other than typical fronts, I mean, there's always that chance that a front could bring you some rain.
They say that when it rains on your wedding day, that's good luck.
That's what they say, yeah. I know plenty of people who have been divorced who it was raining on their wedding day, and they disagree with that, so I don't know. Ren, how you doing? So Ren was at Gecko Fest. I'm gonna tell you a story. So Ren has a little, she wants to know Winter Haven for the 6th. What's today, the 2nd? So Winter Haven should be okay for like Saturday.
Looks like it.
So Ren has a wiener dog, a dachshund, and apparently she is the 2nd fastest wiener dog in Florida. She has competed in wiener dog competitions.
That's awesome.
It's a true story. Well, Ren was with her friend at Gecko Fest, and her friend has like a 65, 70-pound dog, right? And I picked up the wiener dog for a picture, and her friend goes, hey, Dennis, will you pick up the 65, 70-pound dog? And I'm like, sure, yeah, sure I will. So I'm like, okay, so I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna throw my back out. And so I'm like, picked it up, and I'm holding the dog, and I'm like, okay, I got this. Take the picture, please, take the picture. It's a very heavy dog, but it was a sweet dog, and she didn't bite me, so that's a plus, because, you know, you get those big dogs, and they don't know you, and I'm just grabbing that dog up, but it went okay. Disney will be fun. Okay, Disney on the 10th to the 15th. Okay, what I will say about Disney, you know what, let's call this up, because that's an important question, and I have not discussed it. I think we have another front coming in next week. So if we do, we could be looking, hold on a second. Cheryl's getting married on Clearwater on the 19th. Can't tell you that far out yet. Cruise to the Bahamas on the 14th to the 18th. You're probably okay. Watching you from a Disney cruise. Teresa's watching from a Disney cruise. How will the weather be in the Bahamas tomorrow? You know what? This is awesome. Paul says, "Hey, good to see you." All right, so Disney. Okay, let's call up the 12Z Euro, and let's call up the U.S. map so we can kind of look at it here. All right, GFS. We'll go 12Z. United States. Okay. All right, so here, this is 18Z. I want 12Z because it goes out farther. Add. Okay, so here we go. No, that's not it either. I didn't call it. Number of days need to go farther out than 10. 16 days. Okay. Well, my fantasy draft is coming up in 45 minutes. Holy cow. All right, here we go. So there's tomorrow. Now, let's go ahead and look at this. There's tomorrow. All right, there's Thursday. By the way, look at the hurricane developing in the Pacific. There is Friday. There's Saturday. There's Sunday. Now look at the front coming down. See it? See the cold front? Hey, Sean, where are you? There's your 540 line. 540 line makes it maybe into the UP of Michigan. So there you go. But anyway, so look at the front coming down. Now it's not, and this is my concern. When you get a front coming down like that, and that is when? That is on the 9th. What day is that? And it's a week from today. So on the 9th, Nessa, how you doing? So there, unfortunately, lies the issue. I'm not concerned for Disney about a tropical system, but I am concerned about rain from a front. And look at that rain. And maybe even lingering. By the way, look at on the far right side. See Gabrielle right there? See it out there? On the far right side of the screen down there? There's Gabrielle. I think it is. Yeah, that's Gabrielle. Ooh, look at that. It's getting kind of close. Is this the GFS? Oh, it's the GFS. That's why. Yeah, I was going to say the GFS was getting a little bit closer. That's very similar to an air and track. But at the end of the day, my concern is not a hurricane for your Disney trip. My concern is that front getting close, which will swing Gabrielle out to sea, but also give you rain for a couple of days in Florida. So there you go. Can I check on Disney for the 15th and the 20th, Amber wants to know. All right, well, there's the 15th. So, not bad. Stalled out front, might be some scattered showers, but I think you're going to be okay. Your 540 was being spicy last night, was it? Yeah. Now, I was being spicy last night, Bridget?
You weren't even on last night.
No, but I'm on social. I sometimes will get far more spicy on social than I will on TV. Dennis, what model do you rely on most? I compare them all. I am not going to lie. I'm a big Euro guy. I always have been. It comes down to one or the other. I like cruise to the Bahamas or Mexico, 14th to the 18th. You'll probably be okay, because by then Gabrielle would be gone. So I think you're okay. Miami 9/18 flight. I mean, that's 2 weeks out. No idea, but you're probably okay. Cruise to the Bahamas, 11th to the 14th. Now that one might be a little rough. You might be a little rough. Yep, you might be. You might get some waves on that one. Virgin Islands, 9th to the 13th, Aaron. Now, that one's a little concerning. Look, okay, let me explain something about that. And I kind of showed the models earlier on. A couple of the Euro models bring a hurricane to the Virgin Islands. Most don't. Most keep it north. But there are a few that bring it close to the islands. So at this point, we don't know yet. But that is a possibility. Okay, what is that system in the Caribbean doing? There is no system in the Caribbean out there, Zoe. So nothing to worry about. There's been some banter, some buzz, some talk, but it doesn't exist, nor will it. So I saw probably 12 posts on that in the last 36 hours on different places showing up on my feed, and it just doesn't exist. So I don't know what to tell you. Margaritaville cruise, Jamaica. Ooh. Jamaica will be okay. Yeah, Jamaica's okay because I don't think that's going to be in the Caribbean. You'll be okay. Jamaica's going to be good. Parents are coming to visit the 19th to the 29th. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be okay. Cruise, the Bahamas, 8th to the 12th, Cook, okay. So, Nick, you're probably going to be okay. I do think there will be some waves out of it. If the GFS is right, you're going to get a little more wave action otherwise, but I still think you're going to be okay. Coming from Canada to Orlando, 6th to the 12th, you will be fine, Keisha. Nothing to worry about. Flight to Dallas on the 12th, you're good. Cruise 9/12 to 15, Bahamas. 10 days out. You'll be good. You might have some residual waves, though. You might have some residual wave action early on, like on the 12th. Disney cruise to the Bahamas, 8th to the 12th. I mean, the 10th to the 12th, you might see some waves. It's going to boil down to, I'll show it to you again. It's going to boil down to this. This is what it's going to boil down to, guys. There's your ensemble, right? If you get a track more like this, you'll have no impact at all and you'll be totally fine. If you get a track that one of these ones are right, then you're probably going to get a little more waves. You know, ultimately, if you look at what the Euro is showing, the one that's a little concerning, and again, look at the overall majority of the models. The overall majority are north of the islands and no impacts on the Bahamas. But there are a few that can't be ignored down to the south. If this storm stays weak for a little bit longer, it would go more west, and then it will hit all that warm water in the Caribbean, and then there's the potential it could impact the islands. So that is where we are. All right? You were talking about Sean. Okay, Bridget, gotcha. Okay, so I think that's about it. Honeymoon in Key Largo, September 14th to 20th. You're probably just fine. Because I mean, toward the 20th, I guess, if there's anything in the Caribbean developing, I guess we cannot write that off yet. But I think you're probably okay. Tampa, 20th to 23rd. That point is too early to tell. I do believe that once we hit around the 20th, we're going to start to see the Caribbean start to open up some. There's no model right now that is showing that. All right, so nothing to worry about. But in about 15 to 20 days, I think we're going to start to see, and I will defer to this, and then I've got to get ready for my fantasy football draft. I'll show you this one more time. Look at the date, September 17th to 23rd, all right? And look at what we have. We have potential in the Western Gulf, the Northern Caribbean, could be a front stalled out here, or that could be something coming in from down here, one or the other. And then you have this, all right? That dark red color is a 40 to 60% chance of development, and that is every bit as low latitudinally as it is north of the islands. So when you start to see tracks like this in an area where development is likely and a lot of warm water out ahead of it, this is when the season gets going. And that, in a nutshell, is what I think is going to happen. All right? So I may be here tomorrow. I may make it here in time. if the first pitch is early enough, but if not, I think I should let Allie do it anyway, because you're here and you'll learn. You need to know how to do it, right? So never mind. Allie's gonna be here tomorrow.
I got it.
I might be here as like backup. In fact, maybe that's what I'll do. I'll be kind of like the support over on the side and just let her go to town. Again, tomorrow night, my daughter's singing the national anthem at the Threshers game. I'll be throwing out the first pitch. Allie will be here. I may be here, may not. We'll be back on Thursday. Nothing to worry about in the tropics right now. That area in red probably becomes Gabrielle. More than likely curves away down the road. That is not set in stone, but that's the forecast for right now. And the Caribbean, ain't nothing going on in spite of what you may be seeing. But in about 2 weeks, that's when I think there's going to be a change. And from that 6-week stretch from around the 20th to maybe the 3rd week in October, I would expect to see quite a bit more activity and maybe even continuing into early November. I think the season's going to run longer this year just because of the developing La Nina and the warmer waters. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for stopping by as always. And we will see you in tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live and Allie, but tomorrow night will be Allie Blake Live. So stop by and be helpful and let her know when her breaks are, and she'll probably listen way better than I do. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you hit that.